Welcome, friends and fellow rebels. Welcome to the woods. I want to talk about spiritual warriors today. I had someone ask about it, and it took me a few days to get some input from my sources and to gather my thoughts on what I've noticed about spiritual warriors because I've been trained to be one, but I am not one. My mentor, my teacher, no question, spiritual warrior. That's his gift. And I've known many who have that capacity. But my energy is more about observing, looking and seeing the truth, adjusting my energies to different frequencies for observation purposes as well as transportation purposes. So my ability to talk on spiritual warrior capacity is based on observing others who perform and have that gift. And I can tell you this much. Spiritual warriors are the ultimate manifestors. Now, manifestors, we talk about manifestation as, oh, you want something and you request it of source, it forms up in your thoughts and it descends into this reality and takes form. I'm leaving out the part about, adding your emotions in there to solidify or to power the manifestation, but you get the point. That's how we refer to manifestation, but manifestation is actually a whole lot more than that. When you walk into a room, unless you're one of the non-player characters who's ceded your authority, your sovereignty to another entity, whether it be a perceived divine being, or whether it's an organization, or your family, or your partner, or it doesn't matter. You have gifted your sovereignty, your spiritual energy, your capacity to create the reality around you to another. True manifestors do not do that. True manifestors retain the ability to make reality exactly what they want it to be. And so when they step into the room, if they're truly powerful, while they are in your presence, you're living in their reality. Whether it's a beneficent, wonderful, kindly, humorous, adorable, happy reality, or whether it's a depressing, dystopic, horrific, disappointing, and limited reality. It depends on the person doing the manifesting, because spiritual gifts, having them, doesn't mean you're a spiritual person. There are a great many people with the powers of energy, what moves through them, who use it in very selfish or very self-defeating ways. On our side of the chessboard, a super manifester, a spiritual warrior, is somebody who can walk in and disrupt the pattern that has been set in motion if it's not harmonious with their own. So in the same way that a physical, this world warrior can walk into a room and disrupt a bully attempting to menace a innocent or a weaker individual, the spiritual warrior can walk into a situation and disrupt the psychic cloud of either caging another, confusing, disrupting, harming physically or spiritually. If you truly master your spiritual gifts as a spiritual warrior, as we are moving into the next dimension, your abilities will be able to manifest and affect the physical reality to a much greater degree. A lot of us are muffled by the fact that this environment's very dense. It takes a lot of spirit to move it. But as it ascends, it's no longer the case. So spiritual warriors, along with everyone else, they'll become more powerful. And literally, they will be able to fashion, they are able to fashion the spiritual world, the environment around them, to be what they want it to be. So if they want nice guys finish first, that's what they'll get. If they want a world where what comes around goes around for everybody, that's what they'll get. If they want a world where kindness comes first and the beauty of the heart radiates out to everyone and manifests in true physical beauty, that's what they'll get. They are able to affect the reality to be what they draw in from source and send out. Spiritual warriors. Now, a warning for spiritual warriors, because this is a bad time for, well, this is a chaotic time for all of us, and no exception for them. To be a warrior of any sort, physical or spiritual, or both, you have to be very disciplined. That's just part of what being a warrior is. If you want to be able to utilize your energy correctly, to utilize your body correctly, to do both, you need to be disciplined. And part of that discipline often involves certain habits, certain schedules, certain regimes, certain rituals that you do to reaffirm how you are controlling your energy, to learn things about yourself as you shift and change. As the world is changing around you, you are changing. So you need to learn what your new limits are, and you need to learn how things have shifted within you so you know how to control what you're doing. Okay? But it's very difficult to establish a discipline when you got chaos. It's a lot easier when you've got stability. But if you've got constant chaos within you as well as outside of you, makes it rough. So that's one of the big challenges for a spiritual warrior right now. And if I may say, just listen to the guidance. Regardless of whatever else you do, try to make meditation one of your disciplines. I know a lot of people can't meditate. Their mind is busy, busy, busy. I'm not saying sit and be vacant. In fact, that's a very bad idea. I'm saying open yourself to source, affirm that you're sovereign, affirm that you're free, and ask source within you, your connection to source, for guidance. Whenever you have a big disruption in your life that might wreck your discipline or extinguish it, you need to keep going with it, even if what you're doing and how you're doing it changes from time to time. You need to check in with source to find out how you can alter, shift, transform, or change your routine, your discipline, to match what's happening with you. Okay, one more warning. Well, two more warnings. Same as with the healer, because warriors and healers tend to go together. They make excellent partners. You need to make sure that you don't overextend yourself, because that's easy to do when you're in a chaotic environment where lots of people need help. You need to make sure that what you're doing is not putting you in a position where you are weakened to the point where you can't continue to do what you need to do. There are too many people who need help right now. Now, let me add an addendum to that. If the person that you are looking to help doesn't request your help, hasn't asked for it, hasn't reached out a hand for it, isn't willing to take responsibility themselves to obtain that help, to meet you halfway, to be grateful to you for the assistance that you're giving, you need to rethink whether or not it is wise to provide that assistance. We seem to have a culture that is encouraging victimhood as an excuse to take without giving, and to take and to take and to take, which just encourages more of an attitude of take, 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 take. And if you are assisting someone who's in that process of falling back and not becoming more powerful, not attempting to help themselves, not attempting to let go of the victim situation that they may have been put in, you're not going to assist them if you keep pulling them out of the swamp only to have them come diving back into it because they want to see your pretty face. Okay? And finally, along the same lines, there is a particular mode of trap that gets set up for spiritual warriors in particular. Healers too, but more often spiritual warriors, because it's spiritual warriors drinking their vitality, which the other side of the chessboard likes to do. They'll send their side spiritual warriors to combat ours, because they believe that by taking us down, they take on our power and ability. That's great to do if you want to only ever be a vampire and never have your own power to draw from. There are a lot of downsides to accepting that way of being, and if you want more on that, just take a look at some of the little vlogs I've put out about working the dark side. But you need to be careful of gunslingers. You need to be careful of parasites, of vampires, who take on the seeming of innocence, because those are set out as special traps. Healers want to cross that. The poor old woman, the damaged child, that a seeming that is not accurate, and once you reach out to help, you wind up trapped by a vampire. But spiritual warriors are particularly targeted, again, because they have a lot of energy, because it takes a lot of energy to be a spiritual warrior. So they'll stick a honeypot, a pretty girl if you're a guy, a pretty guy if you're a girl, right in your way. Somebody who needs help. Help me, help me. And before you know it, they've moved in with you, they've taken over your life, and you're tired all the time because they're draining you dry. Or you see a wounded bird outside and don't realize what it has attached to it. Or you see a lonely person in your purview who just wants to talk, and if you sit down and talk with them, you wind up drawn into a long, involved conversation that goes nowhere, and suddenly your vitality is gone. Before you get involved in anyone or anything, that is a significant commitment. Check in with source. And if you have a weird feeling about somebody or a situation, listen to it. Don't just walk into a situation. Make sure that you check with source, that you're not just reacting to something that is a trigger point for you because of what has been put on you by society. Make sure it's your source in you that has that feeling, that bad feeling. But when you get that, listen, and welcome to the woods.